Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you all hear me and see me? I am not in my normal sitting spot and I'm using a different computer today, so hopefully you can hear me and see me. Can I get yes or no in the chat? Is everyone coming on right now? Can you hear me? We're about to go live. We are actually on air now, just waiting for people to join. Alhamdulillah. I'm good. Okay. All right. That is fantastic. All right. I'm just going to ask specifically Miftaah students. There's any Miftaah students on here? Any Michigan Islamic Institute students? There are some of my students I asked to join today from our other institution. So I'm going to just do a quick check if they came on or not, so I can go after them after class if they didn't. Alhamdulillah, there are some Miftaah students. MashaAllah. Wannabe students. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, do me a favor. Someone you told someone to contact me, or it was you or your brother to contact me and texted me from Indianapolis. Please, I was looking for that person's number. Could you please have him text me or call me again so I can save his number? So I call him back. I'm sorry I didn't get to him. All right, we see a lot of Miftaah students on, and we have some wannabe students. We have a Toledo Miftaah class. Great. Alhamdulillah. We'll just give the first few minutes buffering for people to join. All right. How's everyone's Ramadan? Make dua. I plan on doing i'tikaf. I'tikaf starts on Wednesday night. So our next class that you will have with me, inshallah, will be in the confine of a masjid, all alone, maybe with a few people. We've been doing i'tikaf for the last, 7 to 10 years. Alhamdulillah. And I don't want to miss this time, even though the current situation is not suitable. So we're going to have maybe just a few of us. Make dua that inshallah I'll see you from there next week, inshallah. I can't believe we only have one more class after this class, and as many of you people that are in my Miftaah Associates program know how difficult it is for me to go through one surah in an entire semester. So a semester in Miftaah Associates program is like about 4 months, and we have class every week, and sometimes Surah Maryam cannot get covered in one whole semester. So when I start opening up like the Quran and reading it, I want all of you to benefit from every single last gem of it. So that's why I don't want to go on a tangent. I do sometimes, but at the same time, I want you to fully benefit from our classes and the Quran and the surahs that we're going over. So that's why. So just do Allah gives us tawfiq to complete this surah. Today's class, the intention is to finish up to verse number 10. So which verse did we stop at last time? Does anyone remember? Can someone chime in? We stopped at which verse? Verse number 6. We're going to start with verse number 6 today. We finished with verse number 5 yesterday. If Khusruba is on, he's always the one that's pointing towards which verses we finished and which we didn't. So last week we did up to verse number 5, and we're going to start verse number 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 in today's class. That's the intention, inshallah. All right, let's start. I heard some of you guys were trying to make Sheikh Abdullah do Urdu poetry, and he did not oblige. So in this class, I'm going to try not to do any Urdu poetry. This is just strictly, maybe if it comes out naturally, we will, but we'll keep that for our nightly stand-up tafsir that Sheikh Abdullah has coined now because of his humor and his lightheartedness. I hope all of you are benefiting from that as well, from the comments and feedback that we're getting. People are enjoying it. So may Allah accept on our behalf. May Allah SWT accept all of your fasts, all of your qiyam, your ruku', your tilawa, your effort, your struggle. May Allah accept it from all of us, inshallah. And continue to bless us from His mercy, from His treasures with rizq, which means health, which means joy, which means happiness, every type of rizq from the treasures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May He bless us all, inshallah. May Allah bless you that you, even though the teachers are not sitting in front of you in a class, but you are all chiming, tuning in from wherever you are, taking your time out, and whatever capacity we have, we're just fulfilling our responsibility by trying to be good students of knowledge. And so bless you for that and accept this on our behalf. Okay, I will go over, if there's any questions, you can put that I number 5 we'll do at the end of the class. I'll just go right into verse number 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Just to summarize, we were at, where are we right now? At what juncture are we in the surah? We laid down the foundation of a good community, the foundation of a good family. I mentioned last week, you cannot build a structure without the foundation. And the foundation is laid down in the first 5 verses of Surah Al-Hujarat. And what were some elements of that foundation? If someone can, the problem with your chat is like it's delayed a few seconds. So when I ask you a question, I have to wait. So I'm going to ask you, and I will also continue speaking. So if I ask, please do write an answer in the chat box. Don't worry about even if I said an answer. So the question is, what was the foundation? What are some elements of the foundation that Surah Hujarat is laying down in front of us for a community to be fruitful, for a family, for a marriage, for a business to continue to grow? What's the foundation? The foundation is our etiquettes towards Allah and our etiquettes towards the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The relationship we have with Allah and the relationship we have with the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is the foundation. Brothers and sisters, honestly, we get text messages all the time, right? About just right now, we got a message. Can you find I have 2 kids, 25-year-old, 23-year-old. Can you find, if you know someone that's looking for a spouse, can you please recommend us, refer us to somebody? We get these, we're ulama, so we get these messages all the time. And most of the time I just say, I don't get involved. If I find out, I'll let you know, right? But really, even in a marriage, right? If you're starting up your new family, the foundation, sometimes we go wrong with it. Like, in Desi culture, this is how it works. You have to meet these 3 requirements. And you guys know what I'm going to say right now. The 3 requirements are, they go lamba hona chahiye. He has to be tall. And the second one is, he has to be light-skinned or she has to be light-skinned. This is just a culture, right? And the third one, he or she better be in med school or becoming a doctor, right? So even if you have the first 2, like you got the first 2 down, the third one's not done. It's like, no. But I did med school from Caribbean. My father, no. I don't care if he's from med school in Caribbean until he doesn't get residency, it's not working out. And I see where, you're looking to security for our daughters, for our sisters, for our brothers. But really the reality is the foundation of a good family is, look, does this person pray salah? What's his love? What's his effect when he listens to the Quran? How is her life affected when she hears the Quran or she hears a wa'adh or a daughter speaking? How does this person react, right? So that's more important, right? People are going to be posting other things about marriages, but really the foundation is this. It has nothing to do with how much wealth you have and what your degrees are. We have people who are of the highest of degrees, but don't know how to just speak and speak and have a conversation for over a minute gently and positively. They don't. So what are you going to do? We're going to give our flesh, our daughters to these people? No, it doesn't make sense. The foundation is having love for Allah and His Rasul, knowing how to the etiquettes towards Allah and His Rasul. When someone has that, he has the material, she has the material to be a person who is rightly guided, which I'll talk about later in this session today. So that's the foundation. Now, when you have that, when you have this, you're living in a community. What's going to happen? You will be tested. You will be tested over and over again. Your morals, your ethics will be tested. Remember, I told you that even if you're at this high level, right? The Prophet ﷺ was at that high level, but people were calling, Ya Muhammad, ukhruj alayna. But you're not supposed to lower your moral compass because of somebody else, right? So you will be tested. Now Allah talks about the first test of as a community, what's going to happen. The verse goes, verse number, if everyone's following along with the surah, verse number 6, Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. Again, we spoke about how many times Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu comes in the surah. Can someone put in the chat how many times Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu comes in the surah as I'm talking about this? This Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. In ja'akum, all those who believe. In ja'akum fasiqun binaba. If a fasiq, I'm not going to translate fasiq right now. We're going to translate it after. But the English translation of fasiq in many of the English translations is going to be disobedient or an open sinner. In ja'akum fasiq. If a fasiq comes to you with naba, again, I'm going to elaborate on what naba means later, but the translation in English translations is information, news. So if a fasiq comes to you with a naba, fatabayyanu, the tabayyanu can mean clarify, verify, investigate. أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة. Before, what's going to happen, you may harm a people out of bijahala, out of ignorance. You may, if you take this information and you don't verify, possibly harm people of arrogance. Now that's also important. I'm going to come back to the word jahala afterwards. And then you will become regretful over what you just did. Now this is very powerful, okay? Allah is saying to us about the fasiq. He's saying to us that the first test is going to be hearing rumors, hearing negative about people, about things in our community. This is the first step towards developing a good community, is this. إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ. If a person who is a fasiq comes to you with a naba. Now, what does a fasiq mean? Now, remember, this is an interesting discussion. Whenever there is a rumor in our community, in our society, there's three different groups of people. The first group, they unconditionally support that person. Unconditionally, they love that person. I don't care what the world says, what anybody says online. And I believe this is a very important discussion. And we're going to tie this with Surah An-Nur, because Surah An-Nur is also all about adab as well. We have to tie both of these together. So when we hear something negative in our communities, I mean, what's interesting is, right, like, what are those magazines, whenever you go to like Myers or Walmart, like, you're not seeing like New York Times, you're not seeing the Detroit Free, even sports magazines are being, like, they're going bankrupt, right? You have to see them online. The print media is done. It's all digital media. But the print media for rumors, like, is still going strong, because as human beings, we love this juicy stuff, right? This happened, that happened. Oh, wow, that happened. That imam did this, or this guy did this, or that lady. So that's still going strong. So strong. This tabloids, this Inquirer, all these different things. So when we hear something, the Muslim community or a community at large, it gets divided into three different groups. One, unconditional love and support. Whatever happens, I'm going to ride and die with this person. The second is unconditional opposition. Unconditional opposition. This doesn't make sense. I don't care what happens. This person did it. He is guilty. She is guilty. It doesn't matter what happens. Unconditional opposition. They don't want to hear nothing from anybody. And the third group of people are the ones who are neutral. But they can be swayed one way or the other. They're not on the side that, we can't make up our mind yet. But if these people have interaction with the first group of people for too long, they will become like that. If someone from the second group interacts with them, they can become like that. So, there's always three sides of the story. What this person said, what that person said, and what the truth is. There's always three sides, not two sides. There's three sides of the story. What this person said, what that person said, and what the truth is. So this is telling us the foundation of a good community now, of a family, and this is happening directly with the Prophet ﷺ. Allah is giving a message about how to deal with people like this. Because not everyone that walks through the door with information is going to be an alim or a pious person. There's going to be people who are going to just come and say, they're going to say something they heard or they read. How do you react to that? It's not the person who's speaking. Allah is not talking in this ayah to the person who's speaking. Allah is talking to the audience. You know, like, why did you say that for? No, why did you listen to it? Allah is telling us how to react to this person who is speaking to us. He's not, right now, the conversation is not about that person who's speaking. Remember that. It's about us who's listening. Because if we continue to listen, right? Every person will have their share of sin. The person who spoke will have their share, and the person who listened will have their share of sin, and the person who amplified before verifying will have their share of sin as well. So Allah is saying, hey, slow. This is the process. This is the divine process of processing information. Okay, the first thing to know is, who is this person bringing this information? That's the first thing. That's the first thing. Don't get paranoid now. Oh man, everyone who speaks, I gotta process this information before I gotta verify, I got to do things. Don't, this ayat is not putting us in a paranoia. I mean, this is also happening a lot now, right? So a sheikh, a senior scholar who's been teaching hadith for 20, 30 years now, we have this because of this concept of critical thinking and critical writing. He might go to a masjid and speak in a khutbah and say a hadith, and now they have these fancy apps where you can quickly check the hadith and see how sahih or da'if this hadith is, or if this poem is actually attributed to Imam Shafi or Ali bin Abi Talib, and this man will come to you and say, you know what, brother? You may be teaching hadith for 30 years, but hadith in Imagine or hadith is in Bukhari, but I don't like that Bukhari guy. This is just there's also an ayah you could have quoted about this, right? So now that's Allah is saying clearly. He's saying over here, He's identifying who that person is who you have to verify things about. He's saying fasiq. Fasiqa in Arabic, it means when the grain gets out of the seed. So when something, even you will say, like, I'll give you even an easier example. When the banana comes out of the peel, you will say that this banana had fasaqa an al-sha'ri. Like, this banana has left its peel. And there's many reasons for that, because the one reason is, as long as the banana stays within its peel, it can continue to ripe, right? But the moment it comes out, its process of growth finishes, and the process of deterioration starts. My camera went off. Can everyone see me? I can clearly see myself, so I just want to make sure everyone can see me. So one of the sisters said my camera went off. If you see my camera off, maybe it's you just got to renew, just refresh your own screen. Khair. So we understand what fasiq means. Fasiq is when the seed has split open and has come out of the shell, you say that is fasaqa qashri, like this seed has come out of the shell. When someone breaks away from the truth, someone breaks away from the teachings of Quran and Hadith, when he breaks away, she breaks away from that and becomes a habitual sinner, a person who is committing sins openly, then you call this person a fasiq. None of us have the license to label anyone as a fasiq. Remember that. Allah is saying, if a fasiq comes to you, and that is only Allah's, later on we'll find out about that as well. None of us have the right to label anyone. And there's another verse that's going to come in today's lesson about this. So, but we understand what a fasiq is. A person who's clearly, that has left the teachings of Quran and Hadith, an open sinner, someone who is sinning in jihad, like open sinning on social media. Nowadays it's so easy to sin openly, just a click of the mouse and your sins are exposed to the whole world. So someone like that, fasiq. When a fasiq comes to you with a naba, there's many words, there's many ways of saying information in Arabic. And the two most frequently used ones is naba and khabar. Naba, there's an interesting reason why Allah uses the word naba over here. And the word nabi is also from the word naba. And I'll say just two things about the word naba. I can talk about it forever, but just two things. The first thing, so a nabi is not called a khabir. He's a person who just gives messages, but he's called nabi from the word naba, not from the word khabar. So let's just take that one step back. I don't want to become too, go into too much of linguistics over here, but to understand the language of Quran is very important. So Allah says naba. Naba has the two meanings all of us should understand from the word naba, and the difference between naba and khabar is this. The first thing, naba, is something that directly impacts you, directly affects you. This is haram. This is sunnah. This is nafil. That impacts us. That affects me right now because it has nothing to do with me. That's called naba. The Prophet said this. That's naba. So I should know about it. I need to learn about it. This important naba is it is high importance. That's why the Prophet and all the other Anbiya are called Nabi. They come with a very important message. Very important, extremely important message. So those are two things about that, right? There's many other, but those two things. Khabar is just news, like just some random news, like, hey, you know, Jordan's better than LeBron. Okay, it might impact a lot of people, but or you could say a lot of times news happening in Pakistan. You know, it's important to know the news in Pakistan, but is it that important to talk about the news and argue about the news and who's the prime minister, what's going on of Pakistan in Hajj while you were in Ihram in Arafah? Like, you know, who the prime minister is in Nepal. I mean, you know, do you know that Nepal has 500,000 people? Okay, well, I mean, I don't have to go verify that now. I could take that with a grain of salt. Okay, that's fine. It has, khabar is just news. It's something that's not that important. Something that's why even the modern day way of saying news is khabar, because really you can't do anything about it. It doesn't really impact you. If something really impacts you, has something to do with you, that's called naba. So Allah is telling us over here, not all news you have to use the same process of verification, of clarification, opening a magnifying glass. Someone tells you, you know, the iPhone has better specs than the Samsung. I mean, don't waste your time Googling it and stuff. You'd rather spend that time when some Muslim comes to you, talks about something negative about another person. Why don't you do that then? So, you know, the iPhone has a better camera than the Samsung. Really? Let me check that out. Google for the hour, not realizing that there's some websites that are paid by Apple to say good reviews of Apple. Next thing you know, you're looking at it for the next 2 hours. That's khabar. Seriously, that's khabar. Use that time. Next time someone comes to you with, you know what that imam said? I heard this. I heard he said this. You know what she said? Next time, do that with that. Allah is making us, He's clarifying this for us. That so again, don't get paranoid. We have to start doing this for everything we hear. No. Rather, He's saying, if the person is like this, and the message he's coming with is a naba, then you have to, now what do you have to do? Tabayyanu. Tabayyanu. Shaykh Sulaiman says it very nicely. He says, verify before you amplify. Verify before you amplify. And Mufti Asim, one of my teachers, he says, you are what you click and you are what you tap. Like, I mean, I don't know where he came up with this. You are what you click and you are what you tap. Like you just clicked share. You just clicked forward on your WhatsApp. Like, ooh, stop. You know, you are going to be responsible for that thing you shared. Forwarded as received. That's not going to hold. That's not going to, now that since you just made that disclaimer, forwarded as received, now you're not going to be questioned about on the day of judgment. That's not how it's going to work with Allah. It doesn't work like that. It is your responsibility when it hit your phone waves, when that message came to your ears, it is your responsibility. فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Strong emphasis about this. There's many other ways of even saying clarifying in the Quran, but Allah uses the word tabayyan, strong. Distinguish the reality from the wrong. What is the other side of the story, right? Verify it before you convey to others. This is also in Surah An-Nur. Allah talks about this, right? Allah talks about this in Surah An-Nur. What does He say in Surah An-Nur about this? He says, does anyone remember the ayah in Surah An-Nur about this, where it starts? If someone can jump on the chat and tell me where it says about this. What does Allah say when the news comes to you? What you should do? In Surah An-Nur, when news come to someone saying that my camera went off again. Is it really my camera? Can you hear me though perfectly fine? I just want to make sure you can hear me perfectly fine. And my Wi-Fi is at 60, 70 megs. I mean, I think today I'm not on a wired connection. Usually I'm on a wired connection. Okay, so are you saying that my voice is getting choppy as well, or is just sometimes my screen goes off and it comes back on? So we have an ikhtilaf among the viewers. Some say it's okay, khalas. Sometimes the audio goes, oh really? Okay. Khalas, we'll just continue on today, and everything is good. Hair excellent, video excellent. All right. So I will say that if it happens again, just refresh your screen, and inshallah it should be fine. So we were, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, we were in about Surah An-Nur. Yes, brother Nader, definitely, inshallah. I usually am always connected directly with Wire, but today I'm not. As long as my voice is fine, don't worry about my face. My face is always going to be here for you. So jazakallah khair. So in Surah An-Nur, Allah says, إِذْ تَلَقَّوْنَهُ بِأَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَتَقُولُونَ بِأَفْوَاهِكُمْ مَا لَيْسَ لَكُمْ بِهِ عِلْمٌ وَتَحْسَبُونَهُ هَيِّنًا وَهُوَ عِندَ اللَّهِ عَظِيمٌ. Right? إِذْ تَلَقَّوْنَهُ بِأَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَتَقُولُونَ بِأَفْوَاهِكُمْ. He says you receive the news with your mouth, like you don't even process it with your head. It just comes to you, and right when it comes to you, you speak about it. Allah says, لَوْلَا إِذْ سَمِعْتُمُوهُ ظَنَّ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتُ بِأَنفُسِهِمْ خَيْرًا. The first way of processing information about someone else's negativity is, why didn't you just have good expectation of that person? That maybe there's something different about this. Maybe this person only knows one side of the story. Maybe there's something that we don't know about. Umar ibn Khattab, who says, لا تظن بكلمة خرجت من في مسلم شرا وأنت تجد لها في الخير محملا. Never ever, whenever you hear something negative about another person, you could hear it, you could see it. He could be in front of you and say something negative to you. Always try to figure out the positive side of the words, positive angle of what he's saying or she's saying. As long as you can find a positive attribute, you can find something that can deflect the negativity. And you know what? Maybe for example, a person's with you and he says, this sheikh, he said this to me yesterday and he was kind of rude. But maybe this person just assumed he was rude because he caught him on the wrong time. Or maybe he was busy. Sometimes people are like, oh, I tried to meet that guy and he was just not paying attention to me. All right. Now that comes to the person. Now you start getting in your head that person is arrogant. I remember this happened about a lot of people. This person is so arrogant. One of my, even Sheikh Tariq Jameel Sahab, I love this man. He's my mentor, my dad's close friend. And people sometimes even say that about him. Oh, like I went to go visit him and he was just didn't even spend time with me. And I remember when I first visited him, he was very nice to me, sat with me. And then all of a sudden he has these severe migraines. And when he has his migraine, like his migraines are so bad that he doesn't allow anyone to make tea for him just because he makes it himself. Like he warms up the milk unless someone really knows how to make it for him, right? Because he doesn't want to get a headache drinking the wrong tea. People drink tea and coffee, they have a certain way. But he doesn't want to get a migraine and just lose. Then he loses focus and he can't stay there. And then because of that, he can't communicate with people around him. So if someone catches him at that time of his migraine, would assume that this person doesn't want to talk to me and would assume that this person is rude. But a person who knows him or a person who has good assumption of believers can say, maybe he had a headache. Maybe he was going through something challenging. Maybe something else. And that's the thing that we're supposed to overhear Allah saying, فَتَبَيَّنُوا. The default position of the default position of ours when we hear rumors or information, negative information is, no, it can't be. It can't be. This person is, that's how we should process information. We don't work for the rumorville, you know that, right? We just churn and turn rumors. We don't work for rumorville. Don't be indiscriminate in sharing things. Just because something is told to us, we don't just keep on churning and turning it. It's not our job. Rather, as a Muslim, it stops when it comes to us. So if someone comes to us, for example, there's a community in Hamtramck or Warren or Toledo, and someone comes to our community or to our family and says something to us, and now they see our reaction. We have no reaction. Like it's as if they're speaking to a wall. Like, hey, brother, sister, don't come to us. Like what you're saying is a waste of time. Go tell someone else. Now this person will think 3 times before coming next time to tell you because you've created that parameter. that you can't just backbite about someone in front of us. You can't just tell us something negative about somebody in front of us. You can't do that. So when you do that, you're creating a society that's better now. Now people know their norms. Once you lend your ear to somebody the first time, he's gonna come again. She's gonna come again. And now you're gonna be participating in the sin just as he or she is participating in the sin. So the first thing, our first default mode is assuming good about the other person, not just taking it at face value and then spreading it. I'll give you one example. And how much the narrative can change from one person to the other person. People that know me know that how strict I am with dabiha. Like I usually tell Miftaah students, don't ask me about restaurants. Is this restaurant halal or haram? I'm extremely strict about dabiha, like about what I eat. And it's my parents taught me this. I'm not the one of those guys who will come to your house and ask you if it. No, I'm talking about restaurants, specifically restaurants. I'll go to anyone's house and eat their food, because they're my house. I'll eat it, but I'm not the same way with restaurants. I would rather eat at home, and I hardly go to restaurants. And if it couldn't go to a restaurant because I don't want to be my amal, like I'm eating there, so now people know Sheikh's eating there, so it's for sure halal. That'll open the door for everybody else, and I have no idea whether the meat is going to be halal 5 months later or not. So. And that's one of the reasons why we're starting, inshallah, a certification process at Michigan. Like, we just got to do it. It's getting out of hand when we find out about the details. But so that's just a disclaimer about me. People that know me know that. Recently, like 2 or 3 months ago, one of my students came up to me and said to me, Sheikh, I was sitting in a dinner with some family members and friends, and one person said, hey, why do you go pray salah behind Sheikh Abdul Rahman? He eats pork. Na'udhu billah. And the guy's like, what? He's like, yeah, I saw him eating pork. And the guy's like, really? And you're like, I love you, brothers and sisters. That's why I'm opening up to you. This is like real raw material. And you know what? For sure, when I heard it for the first time, I laughed. But he's like, yeah, Sheikh Abdul Rahman eats. And this person has this in his head that Mufti Abdul Rahman eats pork. Na'udhu billah. Na'udhu billah. Na'udhu billah. Al-iyad billah. Right? So he said, I saw him eating pork. All right. It got even worse now. So the guy was also a smart person. He was one of our students. He said, you know what? When did you see him eating pork? He said, this is 2020, right? He says, about like 2010 or 11. He said, oh, wow, man, you have a sharp memory. Okay, where did you see him? And when he started investigating about things, he didn't see him. It wasn't him it was a friend of his who worked at a restaurant in Marriott, and that said to him that, I saw the sheikh come into the breakfast buffet and eat food here. Okay, so did he tell you he ate pork? He says, no, he didn't say that. He didn't see him eating pork, but he saw him eating eggs. And those eggs are also fried in a similar place as other meats. So basically he was eating eggs. So it goes from Sheikh Abdul Rahman was eating eggs to now 10 years later, this person saying he's eating pork. And he said, I saw this person eating pork. And only Allah knows how many people he said that to, right? And I'm like, subhanallah. And then I said to that, when the person said to me that this happened, I said, does that person even know I don't even eat eggs? That couldn't have been me. It might have been someone who looks like me, but it wasn't even me. So that poor guy was eating eggs. And now those eggs at a restaurant, a breakfast buffet. So next time you see this happening, be careful. You don't know where things can lead. That person eating eggs ends up eating pork, and that's being spread. Now we have to be careful. What tahsabunahu hayyina? You think that this one comment is like doesn't cost too much. It doesn't carry so much weight. It's not like picking up weights, to punch somebody, you have to have some power. To hurt someone physically, you have to have power, right? You can just tap them. To hurt someone physically, you have to have some strength, some power. But to hurt someone with your tongue, it doesn't require nothing. It doesn't require 100 push-ups a day. It doesn't require anything. That's why it becomes so easy for us to do it. So that's what Allah is saying, فَتَبَيَّنُوا. When this happens, you better clarify. Verify before you amplify. In the words of Shaykh Sumamullah, it's very important to do that. And I'm going to stop over here. Bijahala. Allah says bijahala. Did this come before? This same sentiment came before about أَن تَحْبَطَ أَعْمَالُكُمْ أَنْتُمْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ. Allah says early in Surah Hujarat that if you act without etiquettes, it is possible that the way your manners of disrespect could be a means of destroying the good deeds you have done without you knowing. Because, and I mentioned that at that time, that it's not, you can say something and say, I didn't mean it. And that happens a lot. I mentioned this, and people were following me for the first class. Do you remember me saying that? That a lot of times we say something wrong, and later on we say, oh, I didn't mean it like that. Allah says, it doesn't matter if you didn't mean it. Over here, that doesn't matter. What matters is if that hurts someone's feeling, that's possible that your amal will go to waste. Because a lot of our mishaps and bad habits of ours get a pass from us in the community just by saying, I didn't mean it. That's not the way I was saying it. That was not my intention. Allah said it earlier, and now Allah says it again. So beautiful. He says, Bi jahala. Allah says, look, I understand. As a believer, you don't do this stuff. You're not supposed to do this stuff. This is not a trait of a believer to spread news, do this, do that. But it's possible you did it bi jahala, unknowingly. You just saw the message, you forwarded it. You heard something, you just said it. But even then you don't get a pass. You should know better than that. I should know better than that. Because when the Prophet ﷺ said on the day of Hajjatul Wada, I'm not going to say the Arabic because we have such less time, but he laid the foundation down for us, brothers and sisters. Right? He said, your bodies, your property, أَلَا إِنَّ دِمَاءَكُمْ وَأَمْوَالَكُمْ وَأَعْرَاضَكُمْ حَرَامٌ عَلَيْكُمْ. He says, your blood, your property, your reputation is sacred. Nobody has a license to ruin your reputation. Nobody has that license. Just like nobody has the license to come to your house to break it brick by brick, nobody has that. Even Allah is saying in the Surah An-Nur, Allah talks about watching your gaze. And He's saying, and under that, Imam Muslim talks about how if you enter someone's house with your gaze, it is as if you are a thief. You can just go inside, look at the back window and go inside and see with your gaze what's going on. That you're a thief now. Even though you haven't walked into the house, but your gaze when you go to the person's house, look down. Maybe you'll see something that person doesn't want you to see. Allah teaches us people's privacies. People's have their own privacy. Now you can't just intrude them. People have reputation. Sometimes we say something about someone not knowing that person may have kids, may have a parent, father and mother who are alive. Allah's Prophet said, like we would not do with someone's house. We don't have the right to do that with someone's house. Just go to the house and break it brick by brick. Similarly, we do not have the reputation of a believer is sacred in the eyes of Allah. And the Prophet gave an example. He was talking in the Hajjatul Wada. He said, like how today is a sacred day, like how the city is a sacred city, and like how this month is a sacred month, right? That similarly, this is the reputation and the honor and the property of a believer is sacred as well for you all. So we have to be careful, right? Even if we're doing it unknowingly, we have to be careful. Bi jahala. Why? فَتُصْبِحُوا عَلَى مَا فَعَلْتُمْ نَادِمِينَ. It's quite possible. It's quite possible that we do it today and then we're going to regret really badly later. Like, oh, what just happened? Why did I do that for? So that's why Allah is saying, this ayah, it concludes by saying, don't give yourself a pass. Next time you get a WhatsApp message about something like ridiculous, don't even look at it. Be that person who becomes has a standard. Like no one can speak to you, convey a message to you about anything because they know you're not gonna pass it on. So it's a waste of time speaking to you about it. So the first thing about this is in ja'akum fasiq binaba. We spoke about that, and hopefully we understood this ayah. The next ayah is وَعَلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. I'm going to take 10 minutes on this ayah, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. لو يطيعكم في كثير من الأمر لعنتم ولكن الله حبب إليكم الإيمان وزينه في قلوبكم وكره إليكم الكفر والفسوق والعصيان أولئك هم الراشدون. So the previous ayah we already understood fasiq, the definition of, the next ayah, please write down notes. We understand what a fasiq is, the seed when it leaves, a person who leaves the teachings of Quran and Hadith. Naba and khabar. Tabayyan means to verify before we amplify, and it could happen in jahala and arrogance, but we cannot give ourselves a pass. And it's possible if we do this, we'll regret really badly later. And one of the worst, one of the most, the poisonous characteristics to have is regret. You know, when you could have bought that house and you didn't buy that house, how much that regret kills you. That's why one of the names of the day of judgment is called Yawmun Nadama, the day of regret, because you can't do anything now. It already happened. So if you don't want to suffer from regret, make sure you follow the process. When you hear the news, assume good about things. When you heard the news, the default mode should be ta'wil fi'l Muslim. This person could not. And if there is, it's not like we give a pass to people who are wrongdoers. There's a system in place for them. There's a system in place, and that's not the discussion today. There is a system in place for people who do wrong. But there's not the system in place for an average day-to-day believers in our community is not the system that we are following and abiding by right now. These are the laws of the West. These are the norms set by social media and Western media. We need to be very careful. People's reputation is sacred. Allah says, and remember, among you is the messenger of Allah, even though he's not here right now. The translation of this ayah will be anna fikum rasulullah, ay anna fikum hayat rasulillah. Among you is the legacy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Among you is the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let me just say that first before I go to the next part of the ayah. Why is that so powerful? Why is that so powerful? I mean, oh ya Allah, ya Allah. One time I was driving really fast, and I was driving reckless. I mean, I don't drive. I would say my weakest point of my life is my driving skills, because I mean I do drive good, but I drive careless at times. So I was driving, and there was an average person sitting next to me. He was an elder, not even from this country, he was from another country. He was sitting next to me in the passenger seat, and he was a foreigner. So I was driving, and I crossed without my indicator. I went by somebody, not like I cut him off, but I didn't put my indicator on. I went by him like this, and I stopped at a traffic light. So the guy in the passenger seat said to me, he said, Sheikh, if you're going to drive like that, take your imamah off, because that's the legacy of the Prophet ﷺ. When someone sees you, what is he going to think? He's going to think of you as a Muslim doing this. And if he got hurt or she got hurt and affected, you're supposed to uphold the legacy of the Prophet ﷺ, right? What do these court systems think of us when lawyers and courts are, making money off Muslim fights, making money off two brothers fighting each other and arguing with each other and can't settle their own differences, or masjids within the board? وَعَلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. We have the legacy of the Prophet. What message are we giving these non-Muslims about how merciful our Prophet was, how forgiving our Prophet was, how kind he was? That's what this ayah means. وَعَلَمُوا. Remember. Anna, ta'keed, fikum, among you. You know whose followers you are? You are the followers of the Prophet ﷺ. Be careful. And if you are about to do something wrong, then listen, don't give the Prophet a bad reputation. Don't do that. And it's true, because if I'm driving like this, if I'm driving down the road like this, and I do something wrong, the person doesn't even know my name. But the first thing that's going to come to his mind is towel head, is Muslim, Muhammad, and I'm going to be the one doing that? I'm going to be the one furthering that? While the Sahaba, Allah is saying they weren't like that. Look what Allah is saying about the Sahaba in this next ayah. So that's why understanding وَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. The second aspect of this is beautiful. Oh, so beautiful. Allah is saying that remember on the day of judgment, the Prophet is going to be among you. Remember that. And if your fights are going to lead to the Prophet being disappointed with you, I love this story of Ahmad rahimahullah. I love it. It's too long to narrate the whole thing, but nonetheless, he was whipped and whipped and whipped till his wounds opened in his back. And finally, when they were going to do a surgery and heal the wounds, for the wounds to be healed, the procedure had to be done at that time without anesthesiologist. He couldn't be put to sleep. And at that time, the procedure was to burn the wounds so you can kill the bacteria and it cannot be infected. And he had so many open wounds in his back, and he was above 70 years old. So he told the doctor who came, which was a student, to grab two pillows. He put one pillow under his knees, and he bent over, and he grabbed one pillow like this, and he hugged it like this. and that person started burning the wounds, one after the other, one after the other. And while he's burning the wounds, imagine we burn ourselves a little bit with the flame, and it burns, and we just move out of the way. We can't even think of anything at the time. While his wounds are being burnt, he's making dua, making dua. That much pain could kill one of us, really, at that age. And he's making dua, making dua, making dua, making dua. After the entire surgical procedure is over, and then he's wrapped up and he goes to he sleeps. Then that person asks the Imam, he says, "Oh Imam, Alhamdulillah, everything went well. I have a question for you though. While I was doing this procedure on your back, you were making a dua, and that dua intrigued me. Why were you making that same dua over and over and over again?" So he says, "You heard the dua I was making?" He says, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't know why you were making that dua." Now, before I tell you the dua, we have to understand the person who put him through all this suffering, his name was Mu'tasim. He was a Khalifa of that time. The one who ordered for him to be whipped, the one who ordered for him to be imprisoned, the one who ordered for him to be isolated from his family and friends, the one who ordered for him to be in home confinement, the one who ordered for him to be in a shoe, right? In a prison cell, and no one could give him anything. His name was Mu'tasim. He was a Khalifa of that time. And the dua Ahmad bin Hanbal is making while he's being, while the person is burning his wounds, is Allahumma aghfir lil Mu'tasim. Allahumma aghfir lil Mu'tasim. Oh Allah, forgive Mu'tasim. Oh Allah, forgive Mu'tasim. Oh Allah, forgive Mu'tasim. The entire time his wounds were being burnt, and maybe those could have been his last words of his life. He was ready to die making that dua. Instead of saying, "Oh Allah, forgive me," he was ready to leave this world saying, "Oh Allah, forgive Mu'tasim. Oh Allah, forgive Mu'tasim. Oh Allah, forgive Mu'tasim." Man, this student was shocked. He says, why are you making if it was one of us, that would be the last thing on our mind. It would be bad dua, like, "Oh Allah, destroy this guy." And this man's making dua for him. Now, what was his mind frame behind this dua? What was his mind frame behind this dua? He says, "Oh my students, I know that the Prophet ﷺ on the Day of Judgment will wait and to intercede on behalf of all of his ummatis who are sinners. And until every single one of them he intercedes on their behalf, he will not go into Jannah." And he said, "I did not want my beef, my personal feelings towards this person to be a means of the Prophet being delayed his entry into Jannah, so he would have to wait until he intercedes on this person's behalf. So I forgave him, so the Prophet's entry in Jannah does not get delayed." I mean, how powerful is that? He's thinking about the Prophet interceding on someone's behalf, and he said, "Let me forgive that person so that the Prophet does not have to wait around. Let him go to Jannah." He suffered all his life while he was living. Am I going to make him wait for a few more minutes, for a few more moments, because of my personal grudge? Let me forgive this guy. Let me get it out of the way right now. Let me get it out of the way. Allah is saying, "Wa'alamu anna fikum Rasulullah." Don't be the one that's going to cause harm to the Prophet. He already went through enough in this life. He already went through enough. Right? So don't do that. Right? This is a love that, and when we have that in our mind, then to remove ill feelings and to forgive and to move on becomes easier. I have to finish the whole ayah in next 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Can everyone hear me, see me clearly? I just don't want to keep on talking if you can't hear me and see me. Can I just hear a yes or a no? Because some people were having issues earlier. Can you see me and hear me? Okay, so where are we now? Allah says, "Wa'alamu anna fikum Rasulullah." All right, this the "Wa'alamu anna fikum Rasulullah." Every single time we are about to do something, incorrect in our life, whether it's a sin, remember, "Wa'alamu anna fikum Rasulullah." Right? We have to stand in front of Allah on the Day of Judgment, right? We have to stand in front of the Prophet ﷺ. Just remember that. And, be more diligent. That's all it is. It's just that thought that comes to our head. Be more diligent. And that's how the Sahaba were among each other, right? They all unified on that we have to stand in front of the Prophet ﷺ on the Day of Judgment. He will see us. We don't want him to be a person who gets disappointed. Rather, when that, I give this example sometimes, when a child has good grades on his report card, he rushes home to show his parents. And when a child has bad grades on their report card, they do everything in the world to make sure the report card does not get to their parents. Let us be the ones who have a good report card. And we run when we get in front of Allah on the Day of Judgment. We run to the Prophet. Ya Rasulullah, look at me. Look at this book. You're alive 1400 years later in North America when things are so bad. How read my book? Read my book, O Prophet of Allah. I loved you. You know, Iqbal, rahimahullah, he says, people tell me that there's no such thing as blind love, but they have never seen an ummati, a believer and a follower of the Prophet. We love the Prophet without even seeing him. And we care about his feelings and sentiments without ever meeting him, because we do know, we are crystal clear about the fact that we will see him on the Day of Judgment, and we will stand in front of him on the Day of Judgment. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. Always keep that in your head. And this is really important about akhlaq and adab, because akhlaq, morals become difficult. It becomes challenging. You know, ibadat is easier, like praying salah, reading Quran. That's between us and Allah. So we don't, but when it comes to like, you know, not saying something bad about somebody, if you guys give me a minute, I gotta put my charger from my MacBook on. My son took it and there you go. So we just remember that ayah, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. All right. لَوْ يُطِيعُكُمْ فِي كَثِيرٍ مِنَ الْأَمْرِ لَعَنِتُّمْ. Let me just speak about that. The Prophet, Allah says, if he were to obey you in most of your matters, then you would suffer. لَوْ يُطِيعُكُمْ فِي كَثِيرٍ مِنَ الْأَمْرِ لَا عَنِتُّمْ. This lam is not part of the word, rather it's ta'keed. The word is anata. لَا عَنِتُّمْ. You would suffer. If he now try to frame these words in your mind. لَوْ يُطِيعُكُمْ فِي كَثِيرٍ مِنَ الْأَمْرِ لَعَنِتُّمْ. If he was to start obeying you in all of the affairs, I mean, if he would start to accept all of your opinions, then you would suffer. Okay, what does that mean? Now this discussion is it's transferring from how you should be as a leader to how you should be as a follower. Okay, what does that mean? What it means is, this is very powerful. Okay, hear me out. Even the Prophet at the time of Uhud, there were people who when they gave their opinion to the Prophet about where we should go for Uhud, they said we should go out. This is a whole Surah intensive. But they were very stubborn upon their opinion. They said, we need to go out, we must go out. So Allah is telling the people, listen, He's giving us followers as a community, as a husband and wife, as children, as a masjid. I mean, most of our problems in masajid and politics happen when people are just so stubborn on their own opinions, right? Being unwilling to even accept the possibility that I may be even wrong. Being unwilling to even accept the possibility that my opinion is wrong is an arrogance. This is a type of arrogance. So why do these, the husband has an opinion, the wife has an opinion, the kids have an opinion, I want to go this, you want to go this and that, and we're stuck. In the masjid, no, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and we're stuck. And most of our differences start because of this. And Allah is telling us a framework to be a follower. He's saying you're going to suffer if everyone is like this in a community, you will truly suffer. Even masjids will not function, the home will not be function. You have to be able to compromise and become soft and understand people's opinion. Allah is telling the Sahaba who are talking to the Prophet, imagine what the ruling is for us, right? So Allah is telling us the rules of giving. Yes, we should. The leader has the responsibility to listen to the followers. The leader has a responsibility to listen to the people. In a husband, wife, they each have a responsibility to listen to each other's opinions, take each other's opinions, but then to influence our opinion by doing propaganda. Oh, this is what we should do. And spreading that opinion among 50 people. Guys, this is what we're going to vote on. This is what we're going to do. That's incorrect. This will cause more suffering, right? You should never be insistent on your opinion. This is a type of arrogance, right? This is what Allah is telling us over here in this ayah, right here in this point. لَوْ يُطِيعُكُمْ فِي كَثِيرٍ مِنَ الْأَمْرِ لَعَنِتُّمْ, right? We should never be there's a lot of people who are enamored by their own opinions. Man, when something goes right, yeah, that was my idea. When something goes wrong, that was his idea. That was her idea. Allah saying, relax, stop. The ruling of opinion, you give your opinion and just leave it at that point. Whether you're if you have a part of a group that has a president, you're part of a masjid that has a board, you're part of a shura that has an amir. There's rules of how to function, and one of the main rules as a follower is you read your dua, you give your most formulated opinion. Don't be persistent on it, because if you are, then now you'll start harboring ill feelings in your heart. Man, I said this, but this person didn't listen to me. He doesn't like me. Remember, difference of opinion was always there, but never broke those hearts, never separated them, right? And then Allah says, وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ حَبَّبَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْإِيمَانَ وَزَيَّنَهُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ وَكَرَّهَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْكُفْرَ وَالْفُسُوقَ وَالْعِصْيَانَ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الرَّاشِدُونَ. Rather, Allah has love for you. Allah has made, what is it? حَبَّبَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْإِيمَانَ. Allah has made Iman beloved to you. And Allah has beautified that for you in your heart. And Allah has made hateful for you disbelief, kufr. وَالْفُسُوقَ. Fusuq means open and abundant sins. Wal-isyan, and isyan means disobedience or sins that are done occasionally, unknowingly. Allah has made that hateful to you. Ulaika humur rashidun, and those are the rightly guided people. Now, that's a translation. Step back for a second. The entire ayah, for those of us who know sarf, is second person. Anna fikum, you. Yuti'ukum, kum is second person. I know all of you love sarf, especially Shaykh Abdullah's class. Law yuti'ukum, you. If you were to follow it. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ حَبَّبَ إِلَيْكُمْ, Allah has beautified for you. وَزَيَّنَهُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ, and has beautified for you. وَكَرَّهَ إِلَيْكُمْ, and has made it hateful for you. The entire ayah is you, second person, second person, second person. And then it ends by saying, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الرَّاشِدُونَ, and those are the righteous people. Those are the rightly guided people. There's so many gems to be taken from this ayah. You can pull it and out. The first thing is that a believer, that dua I mentioned earlier, Allahumma habbib ilayna al-iman wa zayyinhu fi qulubina wa karrih ilayna al-kufra wal-fusuq wal-'isyan waj'alna min ar-rashidin, is a prophetic dua based on this ayah. If someone can post it on the chat right now, we should start making this dua abundantly and frequently, because a person, when you start doing what you love, you don't need much motivation. So these youngsters love playing that ridiculous Call of Duty game or Fortnite. They love playing it. And they don't need to be motivated, brother. Do you know the fada'il of playing Fortnite? If you play Fortnite, it makes your eyesight better. You know the virtues of playing Call of Duty? If you do it, it makes you more accurate. It makes you more stronger. It makes you more conscious about people around you and surroundings. I was watching my brother play that game for like a minute. I had a headache. I couldn't believe that people actually waste their time on this. But the person who's doing this he's not getting a 15-minute bayan or instructions on, this is a verb. No, because he or she is doing what they like. You don't need to be pushed to do what you like. You don't need to be motivated. Usually a marriage falls apart when the love falls apart. That's the thing that keeps everything together. When there's love, small things here and there, it's okay. But when that sparkle of love leaves, then it becomes a problem. When the sparkle of beautification, they say, I don't love and I'm not attracted. I don't love and I'm not attracted to that person anymore. And Allah is saying, make dua that you love Iman and you're attracted to Iman. Because if you love something and you're attracted to something, you will run towards it even without any added motivation. You won't have to be pushed towards it. You just do it because you love it. The Sahaba love Salah. They say, this is an interesting thing. They say a person at night does that thing which is at nighttime. Does that thing which brings the most pleasure with the least effort. Psychologists talk about this. They bring the most effort, that brings the most pleasure with the least effort. That's what you resort to do at night. So for example, you just sit in front of a TV, it brings you pleasure with no effort. Just sit there, eat popcorn, just sit there all night. Sit in front of YouTube, sit there all night, watch. You don't even realize 4 hours gone by. Usually you're not going to do the thing that you tend to lean to those things that bring the most pleasure with the least effort. And what were the Sahaba doing at night time? That brought them the most pleasure with the least. Were praying Salah. Because compared to what they were doing during the day in the battlefield, going in the path of Allah, this was the easiest thing. And this brought them the most pleasure. So they loved it. They rushed towards it. إِذَا حَزَبَهُ أَمْرٌ فَزِعَ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ. They rushed towards Salah. When the Prophet, when it was Salah time, he would never say, "Oh Bilal, give adhan," but rather he would say, "Arihna biha ya Bilal," give us comfort through giving adhan. So the love factor and having these deeds, opening the Quran, doing miswak, wearing a turban, or wearing anything from clothing to internal purity to external purity to ibadat, when it becomes beautified and we're attracted to it, it becomes easier for us to do those things. So make this dua, oh Allah, اللهم حبب إلينا زين في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. And then the final thing about this, Allah says, أولئك هم الراشدون. Those are righteous people. There are different ways of saying righteous in the Quran. There's muhtadun also means rightly guided. And those are rightly guided people. The difference between muhtadun and rashidun is muhtadun means those who are rightly guided with their belief system. They're rightly guided with it. They know Allah, they know who the Prophet is, they know about the Anbiya, they're muhtadun. And rashidun encompasses both. Rashidun means these are people who are rightly guided with their belief system and also their social moral system. Allah, this surah is all about adab. So Allah says these are people. The ones who are like this, they are rightly guided when it comes to morals and ethics. And finally, when Allah says you, and then He said those are rightly guided, this ayah talks about the virtues of Sahaba. It's like saying to a person, and I'll end by saying this, it's like saying there's two sides in the classroom. There's one on the right side, one on the left side. And you look towards the right and you say, you guys did amazing. You guys did, and the group A on the right, they got A's in their exam. They got 100% on their exam. And the group B, which is in our madrasa, we have the second, third year alim course, all geniuses. They're sitting on the left hand side. Okay, so you have on the right hand side, these people did amazing in their exams. So you look at the right side of the room and you say, guys, brothers and sisters, you did amazing. Your exam was amazing. You stayed up at night. You worked hard. You wrote clearly. You got amazing marks. You did amazing. And then you look towards the left and you say, those people were amazing. What are you trying to say to those people on the left now? Be like those people. That's what you're trying to say. This is called iltifatul ma'ani. When Allah does this in the Quran, He's telling us, be like the Sahaba. That's how they were. They were like, you were like this. You were Allah's Sahaba. Iman was beautified for you. Good deeds were attracted to your heart. You did not like kufr. You did not like major sins. You did not like occasional sins. Now He looks at us and He says, Abdul Rahman, be like them. They were rightly guided. So I end with this by saying that I wanted to do one more ayah, but we can't do it today. Allah make us among those who truly love Allah and make us understand how to process information when it comes to us and not just amplify it before we verify it. And whether we know or not, but make sure that we're people of high moral. Someone says, so I will take some questions now before we leave. Someone asked a question about, let me ask the question. There was the question in the question answer. If you respond to negativity with saying something to resort positive intent and you get anger directed at you, then how should you respond? Beautiful question. Beautiful question. That question will be answered in the next ayah. This next ayah is dedicated about, how every single time there's a fight, there's like group A versus group B, like these two people are like arguing. And then you're supposed to have a group C, which is C for community, which is supposed to come in and settle their differences. I wanted to talk about that today, but I didn't have time. So that C that you're talking about, who become the peacemakers, there's rulings for that person. They have good intention. They want to make things clear. They want to make things better, but then they get anger directed towards them. How do we react? How should we continue to react? So whenever there's a conflict, there's A, B, and C. There's conflict between A and B, and then there's C that comes in, and sometimes one or two groups are also react negative to that. But what are you trying to do, man? You're trying to always be a peacemaker. Come on, why are you showing off? Relax, man. Go away. Allah teaches us in the next ayah how to be in that manner as well. So next week, stay tuned. We'll do that, inshallah. How do we positively react to anger or injustice? How can we positively react to anger or injustice? They're two different things. One is anger, one is injustice. So how do we react to anger in a positive way? A positive way, it depends what you get about. If it's anger about the command of Allah, that's from Iman. If it's anger about someone, doing something wrong to you, if it's anger about something from your children's side, from the community side, it's completely different, right? So the best way, of course, the Prophet ﷺ has taught us prophetic ways in saying to us through when someone came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, give me advice, and give me an advice that I don't have to ever ask anyone after you. And he said, La taghdab, don't get angry. So knowing that anger is from shaitan, right? Anger is from shaitan, and to be, when you get angry, there's many different things you can do. The first thing I would say you can do is, this is my advice to all couples, right? There's always going to be, and also friends. When you get angered, when something happens to you, don't react immediately, because al-anatu min Allah wal ajlatu min ash-shaytan. Like taking your time and deliberating and thinking and pondering over what you're going to say, that's from Allah. That's what Allah wants you to do. Wal ajla min ash-shaytan. And seeing a message, like a rude message from your spouse or someone, your friend, what's wrong with you? You always come, for some reason, like, mean messages, like, yell at us. We hear them, like, we can hear them in our ears. And like good messages, we can ignore them. So, and that's my rule of thumb, guys, my rule of thumb is, if you want to say something nice to your friend, say it through a text message. It's preserved. I love you. You're amazing. If you have something, even one bit of something, sometimes a criticism or something negative, so you should never have it. But if you do, don't write it as a message, because it gets preserved. We have this new WhatsApp, we can delete messages, but not yours. If you do, you can speak it over the phone or say it face to face. But when you type, you're not even thinking, right? So when you hear something wrong that angers you and frustrates you, don't react immediately. As a husband or wife, even your husband walks to the door, say something, or the wife walks to the door, she says something. The best way to react is just stop at that moment. Don't react, because remember, even if you're reacting and you're right, but your instant reaction is from shaitan. Even though you may say the right thing, even though that person may be wrong, but that instantaneous reaction, that's what shaitan wants you to do. Because when you don't think and deliberate and ponder, then there's more chances of you saying something wrong. And then next thing you know, now both of you did something wrong. And now both of you are like, oh, that person should apologize. No, that person should apologize. Well, no, that person did that. So you get into that game of who should apologize first. Well, you started it, that just becomes another you open another can of worms. It's better you stay quiet. And you never had the opportunity of that, opening that can of worms. So you just deliberate, ponder what you have to say, and then later on think about it, and then react positively in that way. By then you'll be cool, it'll be calm, and the mood will be better, and you can say it in a better way. There's a whole discussion on that as well. So Jazakallah khair. I hope I answered that question. All right, brothers and sisters, inshallah we'll see you next Monday. If we do not finish by next Monday, I will figure something out for this Ramadan immersion program that we can still finish it. Do you think we should still somehow finish it, even if it takes us one more class after Ramadan? What do you guys think? Let me get some votes on that. If we don't finish by next Monday, do you think we should try to take one more class after Ramadan and get it done? Because I do want you guys to benefit from the entire surah. Inshallah. So we see some people saying inshallah and yes. All right. So Jazakallah khair. All right. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of the week, and definitely please come on tomorrow for the Ramadan immersion program. And we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you being such a good audience. And inshallah, for anyone who saw me lagging or in my voice being choppy, forgive me. Hopefully it was. Hopefully this won't happen again. I'll be on, or I will definitely be on Wired Internet next week as well. But hopefully most of you got to benefit from the entire session. For the ones who want to go back and watch the recording and take notes, you're more than welcome to do that. It's always going to be recorded for you, and take out from whatever gems you want to take out. Forgive me for any mistakes. Jazakallah khair. And forgive me for taking more time than the time that was allotted for me. Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanakallah bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Jazakallah khair. Wassalamu alaykum.